The Italian campaign was one of the longest and bloodiest theaters of operations in World War II, lasting over a year and involving some of the most intense fighting in the entire war. Despite being sandwiched between the British and Americans, the Germans fought tooth and nail to keep their valuable Italian ally in the fight. But it was the Canadians who dealt the death blows to the Germans in Italy. So how did they do it? The Allied invasion of Sicily in July 1943 caught the Germans completely by surprise. With Allied troops landing just 30 kilometers from the German border, the Italians had no choice but to retreat northward along the mainland. This is where the Canadians came in. On August 11, 1943, 3 Canadian divisions arrived in Sicily and were immediately deployed to the front lines. Their job was simple: stop the Germans from escaping into the mainland. And what followed was one of the most intense battles of the war. As the Canadians pushed the Germans back, they soon realized that the terrain was not on their side. The narrow Italian boot made it almost impossible to deploy their superior firepower and artillery. Also, the Germans had fortified every inch of the Italian mainland, making any advances costly, not to mention the bad weather, which turned the terrain into a muddy mess, making it nearly impossible for tanks to move. Despite these setbacks, the Canadians pressed on. They fought alongside the British and Americans in a series of bloody battles, capturing key towns and villages from the Germans. But it was at Ortona, in December 1943, that the Canadians really made their mark. The town was heavily fortified by the Germans, who had turned it into a virtual fortress. But the Canadians, with their superior firepower and determination, slowly but surely pushed the Germans back. House to house, street to street, the Canadians fought their way into the town center, suffering heavy casualties in the process, but they never wavered. And in the end, they captured Ortona, inflicting a decisive defeat on the Germans. This victory at Ortona was a turning point in the Battle of the Liri Valley. With the Germans demoralized and their defenses broken, the Canadians, along with the other Allied troops, pushed them all the way back to the Arno River. From there, the Germans never recovered. They were forced to surrender to the advancing Allied troops and Italy was secured. But it was the Canadians who dealt the death blows to the Germans in Italy. They did it with bravery, determination, and skill. Thanks for watching.